This is Timmy, and he is on his way to the bus stop to go to school. Little does he know that influenza is also on the bus with him today. Now, let's look inside his body to see how his immune system responds to this infection. Influenza enters the cell, then uses the host cell's machinery to replicate itself, and then exit the cell, and then infect new cells and repeat the same process. While the virus is on the surface of the cell, some immune cells, such as dendritic cells and macrophages who are constantly doing surveillance in the body, may recognize antigens, in this case proteins that are specific to the influenza virus. They then take these antigens with them to the lymph nodes, where they will show these to the adaptive immune cells B and T cells. Now, let's go back to our poor infected epithelial cell. When the virus is replicating inside of the cell, another innate immune cell, called natural killer cell, may recognize that the cell is in distress and signal for it to kill itself. This prevents this virus from replicating anymore and prevents it from infecting any more cells. When the cell dies, it releases all of the virus particles inside of it, which will then be recognized by more macrophages and dendritic cells and be taken to the lymph nodes. Back at the lymph node, where our dendritic and macrophages are presenting the antigens, it's important to know that each of the B and T cells here in the lymph nodes are unique in that they each recognize only one unique antigen presented to them. Once the B cell recognizes this antigen, it will proliferate into either memory B cells or effector B cells. The effector B cells will go off and clear the infection in a variety of very efficient ways, and the memory B cells will remain in the lymph nodes and bone marrow, so if the virus invades his body again, the memory B cells will already be there to recognize the antigen, proliferate into effector B cells, and clear the infection much faster. Now, let's go back in time and say that 2 weeks before he got on the bus, he got vaccinated for influenza. Now let's go back into his body and see what his immune system goes through. The vaccine is an inactivated form of the virus and cannot actually infect the body's cells, but it does contain the influenza antigens. These antigens are recognized by the dendritic cells and taken to the lymph nodes to be recognized by B cells. The B cell then proliferates into memory and effector B cells specific to the influenza antigen. Now that he has these memory B cells made and ready to go, let's see what happens when he gets on the bus again with influenza. The cell is still infected and dendritic and macrophages take antigens to the lymph nodes, but since the lymph nodes already has memory B cells, it produces a lot more effector B cells a lot more quickly. These effector B cells then clear the infection before he even knew he was sick.